Hello everybody, welcome to Edumedia YouTube channel, your number one source of credible, accurate and educative information. This is the first of a 6-part series of lessons in graphic design. In this series, I'll take you through the principles, procedures and elements necessary to give you a foundation in graphic design. We'll look at principles and elements of design, how color and typography affect design and how we can appropriately apply them. Additionally, I'll walk you through how to think visually and how to not just be an artist but a graphic designer. The topics we'll consider under this series include 1. Introduction to graphic design. Here we'll explain graphic design and what it is and what it is not. Then we'll move on to the next topic where we'll look at Adobe overview. Here we'll explain the tools such as Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. We'll go ahead and look at the workspace in Adobe Photoshop and how to use layers and other important commands in Photoshop. Next, we'll look at design element and principles. In this part, we'll look at how line, shape, color and texture as well as alignment and balance affect design. We'll talk about design proximity, repetition in this part. The fourth part of this series will take a look at color theory, meaning of primary colors and how to generate other colors from the primary colors and how meaningfully to apply colors to design. Next is to talk about typography and its effects on design. In the last and final part of the series, we'll focus on logo design. Here, we will take a concept and develop it into a design in Adobe Illustrator. Hopefully, by the end of this series, you will become the designer that you always wanted to be. So, without much further ado, let's start off with the first part of the series. Anyone trying to communicate in a new language has to first gain a complete understanding of its fundamentals. That's the ABCs of that language, definitions, functions, and usage. The language of graphic design provides graphic design students and practitioners with an in-depth understanding of the fundamental elements and principles necessary to communicate in this language. Thus, what they are, why they are important, and how to use them effectively. The foundation of any successful graphic designer relies upon an understanding of these fundamentals of graphic design. So, we're going to build our knowledge by understanding the meaning of the language we want to learn. So, in this sense, we're going to explain what graphic design is. According to the dictionary definition of graphic design, it is the art or profession of visual communication that combines images, words, and ideas to convey information to an audience, especially to produce a specific effect. The key words in the definition are visual communication and convey information. A prominent American graphic designer, best known for his design of motion picture title sequences, film posters, and corporate logos, states that design is thinking made visible. Design is not just about being familiar with the latest software, for example Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Affinity, GIMP, etc., and then suddenly calling yourself a graphic designer. It's not even about being artistic. It's not about being able to draw well, even though all this helps. But design is much more than that. It's about being able to communicate a message visually. If you fail to communicate the message visually, then this is what we call art, because art is beauty and design is aesthetic. Design must be interpreted the same way by everyone to function. Thus, everyone must get the same meaning out of it for it to function. Otherwise, it is an art. Your aim is to create something that is pleasing to the eye, gets attention, and conveys message. However, it's not always about making things look cool. It has to work. And as Steve Jobs rightly puts it, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. What is the point of having a really artistic, beautiful restaurant menu if you can't find where the prices are, or where the drink section is? Or you having a really flashy website and the users cannot figure out the navigation or where the contact information is? Now let's look at some examples of bad designs. Here we have a design here. This is a restaurant menu, and the design here, this is an example of bad design. Here, the most important element of a menu design above all else is legibility. People should be able to see what they want to order, and this design has totally failed that. The second example we have here is also a restaurant menu, but it's suffering from clutter. It's so cluttered and packed that there's no way to know where to begin to decide what to eat. This design has also failed. The third example I have here is a website. The biggest feature of navigation for a website is self-evident. You should be able to see it the moment you get to the website. The navigation must be eye-catching, but this design absolutely failed that. Graphic design is all around us, wherever we look, whatever we hold. The most common forms include logos, posters, website, advertisements, magazines, newspaper layout, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at what design is not. Design is a process, and as a process you need to follow a procedure in order to effectively present your ideas visually. However, there are so many misconceptions about graphic design, and I'll briefly talk about some of these. First of all, graphic design is not an art. While design and art do share many overlapping qualities, there are two fundamentally different disciplines. To be a good graphic designer, you don't need to be good at drawing, because design itself is a skill, and any skill can be learned. Next, you don't need to spend years in college to become a graphic designer. Design is a skill, and you simply have to continue practicing and practicing to master it. The next one is design is not about spending thousands of money on equipment. Any mid-range computer is fine to help you present your thinking visually. Most of the software you will need are open source, so you can use them freely without charge. The last point I have here is design is not always about making things look cool or flashy. It has to work. Now note that these are good to have, but they are just not essential. If you are good at sketching or drawing, it can help. That's okay for you. The point I'm making here is that don't be put down just because you don't know how to draw, or because you can't afford the latest Mac computer, or just because you can't attend the best art school. You can still be a graphic designer if you learn the skill. Graphic design is huge, and there are plenty of specialized fields within design area. There are fields such as web designer, illustrator, logo designer, package designer, UX and UI designers, creative designer, creative director, art directors, interface designer. Now there are new and many emerging fields coming out of graphic design. This is not all the fields we have in graphic design, but these are some of them. You can pick an area and specialize in it, but it helps to familiarize yourself with fundamentals of as many fields as you can. This is all that I have for you in this part of the series. I hope you like it. If you do, please hit the like button. Please share this video to any of your friends and relatives. Share to anyone that wants to learn a new skill, or anyone that wants to get a side job with any of these skills. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe. I would really appreciate your subscription. In our next video, we're going to look at one of the most commonly used industry standard tool in graphic design, Adobe Photoshop. We're going to explore the workspace and the layers and how we can use this tool to achieve our aim. So, for all of that and more, I'll see you in the next video.